I was born into darkness, in the city of spiders, Menzoberranzan, a place where cruelty is strength and treachery is life. I was the third son of House Do'Urden, a noble house, but one built on shifting sands. From my first breath, I was trained for one purpose, to serve Lolth the Spider Queen, and to bring glory to my house. But something within me rebelled against the darkness. The machinations of the Spider Queen's clergy were endless. Betrayal and assassination were the tools of their trade. My brother, Malice, reveled in the chaos. He was everything a drow male should be, ruthless, ambitious, and utterly devoid of compassion. He would stop at nothing to claim the mantle of House Matron. I saw the darkness that consumed my kin. I felt its pull, its seductive promise of power. But I also saw the emptiness it left behind. I excelled in the ways of combat, trained by the finest weapons masters of Menzoberranzan. From a young age, I was immersed in the art of war, learning the intricacies of every weapon, every stance, and every strategy. The training grounds were my second home, a place where the clang of steel and the shouts of warriors were the symphony of my life. The weapons masters, with their stern faces and unyielding discipline, molded me into a warrior of unparalleled skill. They pushed me to my limits and then beyond, forging my body and mind into a weapon as sharp as any blade. My speed and agility were unmatched, a blur of motion that left my opponents bewildered and defeated. I moved with the grace of a dancer and the ferocity of a predator, each step calculated, each movement precise. In the heat of battle, time seemed to slow, and I could see the path to victory with crystal clarity. My reflexes were honed to perfection, allowing me to dodge and counter with a fluidity that seemed almost supernatural. The other warriors watched in awe, knowing that they could never match my swiftness, my skill with a blade surpassing even my elders. The sword was an extension of my will, a tool of both destruction and protection. I could feel the weight of it in my hand, the balance, the edge, and I knew that it was a part of me. My elders, seasoned warriors with decades of experience, could only marvel at my prowess. They had taught me well, but I had taken their lessons and elevated them to an art form. In duels, my blade sang through the air, a deadly dance that left no room for error. My father, Zaknafine, saw the conflict within me. He was a legendary warrior, a master of the blade, and a man of deep wisdom. He watched me with a keen eye, understanding the turmoil that roiled beneath my calm exterior. He knew that I was not just a warrior, but a young drow struggling with the darkness that pervaded our society. Zaknafine was more than a father. He was a mentor, a guide, and a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in shadow. He saw my potential, but he also saw the danger that came with it. He knew the darkness that lurked in the hearts of our kind. The drow were a people of shadows, their lives governed by the ruthless whims of Lolth, the Spider Queen. Ambition, betrayal, and cruelty were the currency of our society, and it was easy to lose oneself in the abyss. Zaknafine had walked that path and emerged with scars both visible and hidden. He understood the seductive pull of power and the price it demanded. He saw the same darkness in me, the same potential for greatness and ruin. He taught me to control my rage, to channel it into my blades. Rage was a double-edged sword, a force that could either destroy or empower. Zaknafine showed me how to harness it, to use it as a source of strength rather than a path to madness. In the heat of battle, my anger became a focused fury, driving my strikes with unerring precision. I learned to temper my emotions, to keep a cool head even when the world around me was chaos. It was a lesson that saved my life more times than I could count. But he also taught me something more, something forbidden. In the shadows of our training sessions, away from prying eyes, Zaknafine spoke of truths that were considered heresy. He whispered of a different way, a path that diverged from the teachings of Lolth. It was a dangerous knowledge, one that could get us both killed if discovered. But Zaknafine believed that I needed to know, that I needed to see beyond the lies that bound our people. He opened my eyes to possibilities I had never imagined, planting the seeds of doubt and hope in my heart. He spoke of a world beyond the Underdark, a world that was not confined to the endless caverns and tunnels of our subterranean home. He described a place where the sky was an endless expanse of blue, where the sun bathed the land in warmth and light. It was a world that seemed like a dream, a fantasy that was too good to be true. But Zaknafine's words were filled with conviction, and I could see the longing in his eyes. He had glimpsed this world, and he wanted me to believe in it too. A world of light and hope. It was a stark contrast to the darkness of the Underdark, a place where hope was a rare and fragile thing. Zaknafine spoke of a world where the light banished the shadows, where hope flourished like the flowers that bloomed under the sun. It was a place where the tyranny of Lolth held no sway, where creatures of all kinds could live free from fear and oppression. It was a vision that filled me with both wonder and doubt, a beacon of possibility that seemed just out of reach. A world where creatures could live in harmony, free from the tyranny of Lolth. In this world, there was no need for the constant struggle for power, no need for the endless cycle of betrayal and bloodshed. It was a place where beings of different races and backgrounds could coexist in peace, where the bonds of friendship and trust were stronger than the chains of fear. Zaknafine's vision was a radical one, a dream that defied the very essence of drow society. But it was a dream that took root in my heart, a spark of hope that refused to be extinguished. The night of my sister's ascension to priestess arrived. The city of Menzoberranzan was alive with a sinister energy, the kind that only comes with the promise of blood and power. The streets were filled with revelers, their faces masked in shadows, their eyes glinting with anticipation. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the sound of chanting, a cacophony that echoed through the dark alleys and towering spires of our subterranean home. A night of celebration and sacrifice. The grand hall was adorned with dark silks and the flickering light of torches, casting eerie shadows on the stone walls. Tables were laden with rich foods and exotic wines, a feast fit for the gods. But beneath the surface of this opulence, there was an undercurrent of danger, a sense that something terrible was about to unfold. But treachery hung heavy in the air. Whispers of betrayal and plots filled the corners of the room as family members eyed each other with suspicion. In Menzoberranzan, trust was a rare commodity, and loyalty was often bought with blood. The tension was palpable, a living thing that seemed to coil around us, tightening its grip with every passing moment. Malice, ever the ambitious viper, struck. My brother, with his cold eyes and calculating mind, saw an opportunity to seize power. He moved through the crowd like a shadow, his intentions hidden behind a mask of feigned joy. When he struck, it was swift and merciless, a dagger coated with poison aimed at the heart of our sister. The room erupted into chaos, screams and shouts mingling with the sound of clashing steel. I could not stand by and watch as my brother committed this atrocity. My heart pounded in my chest as I pushed through the throng of panicked guests, my eyes locked on Malice. He was my brother, but in that moment, he was my enemy. I confronted him, our eyes meeting in a silent battle of wills. The room seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of us locked in a deadly dance. I challenged him, defying the will of Lolth and the laws of our people. In Menzoberranzan, to go against family was to go against the very fabric of our society. But I could not let this evil go unpunished. I drew my blade, the weight of it familiar and comforting in my hand. The crowd watched in stunned silence as we clashed, the sound of our swords ringing out like a death knell. My actions branded me a traitor, a heretic in the eyes of the Spider Queen. Lolth's wrath was swift and unforgiving. I was dragged before her dark throne, the weight of her gaze pressing down on me like a physical force. Chains bound my wrists, and the whispers of the court echoed in my ears, a chorus of condemnation. I had defied the natural order, and for that, I would pay the ultimate price. I had no choice but to flee. The city that had once been my home was now a labyrinth of danger, every shadow a potential threat. I slipped through the darkened streets, my heart pounding with fear and determination. The night was my ally, its darkness providing cover as I made my escape. I knew that if I were caught, there would be no mercy, only a swift and brutal end. To abandon everything I had ever known and seek refuge in the unknown. The world beyond Menzoberranzan was a vast and terrifying place, filled with dangers I could scarcely imagine. But it was also a place of possibility, a chance to forge a new path free from the shadows of my past. As I ventured into the wilderness, the weight of my decision settled on my shoulders. I was no longer a prince of the dark city, but a wanderer, a seeker of redemption in a world that had no place for me. After what felt like an eternity in the Underdark's suffocating darkness, where the air was thick and the silence was deafening, I finally found my way to the surface. The journey had been long and treacherous, filled with narrow tunnels and unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. Each step was a battle against the oppressive darkness that seemed to swallow all hope. I emerged into the world above, a world that seemed almost mythical after so long in the depths. The transition from the pitch-black cave to the blinding light of the surface was overwhelming. It was as if I had been reborn, stepping into a new existence filled with possibilities. The sunlight seared my eyes, a sharp contrast to the perpetual twilight of the Underdark. My eyes, unaccustomed to such brightness, struggled to adjust. I squinted against the glare, feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin for the first time in what felt like ages. It was a painful yet exhilarating sensation, but it also filled me with a strange sense of hope. The light was a promise of new beginnings, a beacon guiding me away from the darkness that had consumed me for so long. I felt a smile spread across my face, a rare expression of joy that had been absent for far too long. The surface world was a riot of colors and sensations. Everywhere I looked, there was life and vibrancy. The trees were tall and majestic, their leaves a brilliant green that shimmered in the sunlight. Flowers of every hue dotted the landscape, their petals open wide to embrace the day. The scent of pine needles and damp earth filled my nostrils, a refreshing change from the stale, musty air of the Underdark. I took a deep breath, savoring the clean, crisp air. It was invigorating, a reminder of the world I had left behind and the new one I had discovered. The sound of birdsong echoed through the trees, a melodious symphony that filled the air with life. Each note was a celebration of freedom, a stark contrast to the silence of the underground. I listened, entranced by the beauty of the natural world. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced. The vastness of the forest, the richness of the colors, the symphony of sounds, it was all so overwhelming and yet so wonderful. I felt a sense of awe and wonder, as if I were seeing the world for the first time. But even in this paradise, danger lurked. The forest, with all its beauty, was also home to hidden threats. Shadows moved among the trees, and I could feel eyes watching me from the darkness. The sense of unease was a reminder that I was not yet safe. I was a stranger in a strange land, navigating a world that was both wondrous and perilous. Every step was taken with caution, every sound analyzed for potential threats. The forest was a place of beauty, but it was also a place of danger. Hunted by the creatures of the night and the prejudice of the day, I had to remain vigilant. The forest was alive with nocturnal predators, and even during the day, I could not let my guard down. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the light had given me hope, and with that hope, I would face whatever challenges lay ahead. To the surface dwellers, I was a monster, a demon from the depths. They saw only my dark skin and my strange eyes, not the good that I yearned to do. I tried to reason with them, to explain that I meant them no harm, but their fear was too great. They saw only what they wanted to see. I yearned for acceptance, for a place among these people, but their hatred cut me deeply, reinforcing the belief that I was alone in this world.